Um, in terms of women's football in general, obviously in recent years it's been growing a lot and getting more and more media attention. How big a role do you think journalists like yourself have to sort of play in spreading the awareness of the game and getting more people interested? Because I imagine for a lot of people still, women's football is sort of I don't want to say they don't care about it, but they probably do not pay much attention to it, especially like men's football fans. How how important for you as a journalist is it? Are you conscious of the fact that you're writing about it and you're spreading awareness? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Do you think journalists like yourselves play a big role in sort of bringing more people into the women's game?
It's definitely something we're aware of. I think what I always say to fans that may be critical of what I do or what other people do is that at the end of the day, my bosses tell me what to write and how many words I have to write it. And I think obviously women's football is competing with the massive juggernaut that is the Premier League, all the other sports in the world. So I think obviously we can only do so much. But I
Mm.
think we're definitely aware of the role we play. And in fact, I think at times we're almost scared to be critical of it and critical of the FA, which is obviously part of our job as journalists. But it can be quite scary to do that because you're kind of highlighting the areas of the game that need improvement. I mean, one of the biggest things at the minute is, we've got a professional league and we've got top class players, but the attendances aren't there to back that up. I mean,
Mm.
if you look at Barcelona v Atletico Madrid women, they've sold like 40,000 odd tickets
Mm.
for one of their league games, whereas for us, that's only what we get when we hold a game at Wembley for the FA Cup final. So
Mm.
I think we're very aware that we need to try and do as much as we can to keep finding these stories and keep meeting people and spreading the word. But
Mm.
at the same time, maybe clubs in this country also need to do a little bit more to market the game and tap into that men's football demographic, which gets those however many thousand people go to Old Trafford, go to Man United women's games.
What do you think some of the things that do need to be done in terms of that then, in terms of marketing the game or the FA? You said it can sometimes be a bit scary. You don't want to criticise the FA, but what is missing in terms of on people like the FA's behalf?
I think you've got to remember that the FA banned women's football for 50 years from, I think it's
Wow,
1921 to 1971.
I
And I
didn't know
think
that.
if you look at it that way, you imagine both men's football and women's football from nothing. The men have taken all the best stadiums,
Mm.
they've taken all the grassroots facilities, they've taken the best coaches, and we're definitely paying catch up to that. So I think obviously the two sports are never going to be equal, and that's something that we can't change. But I
Mm.
think one of the biggest problems is actually stadiums. It's where do you play these games? Because if you take Everton for example, if you look at where Goodison Park is and where that main fan base of Everton supporters are, Everton women play in Southport, which is like an hour's drive from there.
Wow.
So you're never going to kind of tap into that market. And obviously the answer isn't to play women's games at Goodison Park every week because for a start you'd have a load of empty seats and secondly you'd be damaging the pitch. But
Yeah.
there has to be some kind of compromise. I mean, I know Man City are probably leading the way with that because the women's games play at their academy, which is literally a stone's throw from the Etihad, and I know they're quite good on getting like double headers, so the women will play an hour or two before the men's game kicks off, and people can go to both
Yeah.
for like a ticket or something. And I
Mm.
think that is something that is working, but yeah, definitely more of that needs to be done to help clubs all over the country, not just at clubs like Man City where they have a lot of money and can actually provide the infrastructure for that.
Mm. Would you say women's football is still quite a niche thing and almost a gap in the market for a journalist at the minute? Because I don't think all papers cover it, do they, regularly?
No, I think it is definitely a growing thing. Obviously, the Telegraph has just employed a staff writer in women's football, and that's the first one
Yeah.
that has ever been. So they're kind of leading the way on that front. I think the Guardian are about to do something similar. So I think if I'd have gone into this for men's football and I'd been doing E2 roundup, for example, I wouldn't be sat here talking to you about interviewing Phil Neville.
Yeah.
So I think the climbing through the ranks is a lot easier in women's football because the interest level from a lot of journalists is lower, so that if you're interested in it, you're suddenly asked if you want to go and cover an England game.
Yeah.
So I think in that way it's definitely niche. It's becoming, I think people are now aware of it, and a lot of young journalists are told to kind of go down that route and volunteer at women's clubs, etc., because there are those opportunities there. At the moment, it is still a bit of niche, I think.